If you look at important chapters, important topic for PT 2023, there are 10. Right? First is historical background of the Indian Constitution. You focus on this chapter. Then you focus on a preamble, right? Then salient features of the Indian Constitution. Then fundamental rights, DPSP and fundamental duty. Then parliamentary system of government, parliament, judiciary, Panchayati Raj, MLA-led fund, election and electoral reform. In election electoral reform, you can focus on 10th schedule. That is called anti-defection law in India. Anti-defection law in India. So these are the 10 chapters that one needs to focus on, right? And of course, you need to remember few articles, amendments, and also schedule of the Indian Constitution. We are doing a parliament, right? From the last 3 classes, we are focusing on parliament because if I say that what are the core chapters, for example, you may find maximum percentage of question within the polity. This is chapter parliament, and another chapter is fundamental rights and DPSP. These are the 2 chapters, very, very important for prelims and mains as well. Now, in the last class, we talked about parliament, and we also talked about Lok Sabha, RajyaSabha. Right? And yesterday I talked about, leader of the house in the parliament. If you look at parliament, who is the leader of the house? If you look at the previous class, we talked about leader of the house. Who is the leader of the house? Basically, leader of the house is Prime Minister if he is member of that house, whether it is a Lok Sabha and whether it is a RajyaSabha. So if Prime Minister is a member of the Lok Sabha, like current Lok Sabha, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is a member of the Lok Sabha. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi is a member of the house in the Lok Sabha. Right? Then who is the leader of the house in the Rajya Sabha? Any minister appointed by the Prime Minister. Any minister appointed by the Prime Minister, that is leader of the house in the Rajya Sabha. If I change the condition, for example, if I give you if I talk about Manmohan Singh. So Manmohan Singh was the leader of the house in the Rajya Sabha because he was a member of the Rajya Sabha. And who was the leader of the Lok Sabha, leader of the house in the Lok Sabha? Any minister appointed by the Prime Minister, nominated by the Prime Minister. So leader of the house is PM. PM, right? In the Lok Sabha. If he is member of the LS. If he is member of the Lok Sabha. But if a member in PM is not a member of the Lok Sabha, then he cannot become a member of that house. He became member of the house in the Rajya Sabha because he is a member of that. Right? So PM is a member of the house in the Lok Sabha if he is a member of the Lok Sabha. Right? And in Rajya Sabha, right? A minister nominated by the PM. Any minister nominated by the PM, like current Prime Minister. You can see the current Prime Minister Narendra Modi is the leader of the House in the Lok Sabha, and a minister, his name is Piyush Goyal. He is a minister. He is nominated by the Prime Minister to act as a leader of the House in the RajyaSabha. So you can see that each house, whether it is a Lok Sabha or whether it is a RajyaSabha, each house has leader of the House. Now come to the leader of the opposition. Who is the leader of opposition? Each term you must know. Each term you must know to attempt polity. So each term means each term in Parliament. Parliament is very, very important in PT. So who is the leader of opposition? Each house of the Parliament there is a leader of opposition. Each house, whether it is a Lok Sabha and whether it is a Rajya Sabha. And who is the leader of the opposition? Basically, the leader of the largest party, having at least minimum 10% of seats of the total strength of the house is recognized as a leader of the opposition in that house. Right? Who is the leader of opposition? The leader of largest opposition party. The leader of largest opposition party, which has at least 10% of the total seat in that house. That become leader of the opposition. For example, there may be two party who may have seat more than 10% in one house, but then in that condition, which party can become the leader of opposition? The leader of largest party. The leader of largest party. Right. And if you look at the Indian election, since 1952 to till 1977, there was no opposition, leader of opposition. Right? Till 1952 to till 1967, not 50, 67, yeah. 67, 68, 69. 68, there was no leader of opposition. Till 1952 to till 1969, there was no leader of opposition. Right, 68. It was in 1969 when leader of opposition was recognized. In the Lok Sabha. Because in 1967 there was an election. In 1967 there was an election. And the party who had secured 10% of seats of the total of the Lok Sabha, seats of the Lok Sabha, has acquired leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha. Right? That is the leader of opposition. Now let me tell you one thing, that leader of opposition has cabinet rank. Right? Leader of opposition has cabinet rank. So leader of opposition gets all, all facility as a cabinet minister. As a cabinet minister. Right. Let me tell you about whip. What is whip? Yesterday I discussed, but I discussed in a very brief. What is whip? Now each political party, appoints a whip. Basically whip, maintains law and order within the party. For example, if you look at the Indian Parliament, there are several political parties, and each political party has its monitor. That is called whip. That is called whip. Each political party, whether it is a ruling party, whether it is a opposition party, right? That whip is appointed by political party to maintain discipline among member of parliament within the parliament, right? That is called whip. Now let me talk about sessions in the parliament. Sessions in the parliament. There are 3 sessions. And 3, yeah. First is called budget session. Budget session, right? Secondly is called monsoon session. And third is called winter session. Third is called winter session. Now budget session starts in February, right? And it continued till May. That is called budget session, right? The entire, but this session starts with President's speech. The budget session starts with President's speech, right? And on this session, entire budget has been prepared. Not prepared, actually passed. Budget is passed during this period. A law can be also passed. It is not that only budget, but a law can be also passed during this year. Now the monsoon session, if you look at that, starts in July, August and September. Now if you look at, these are 4 months. 4 months are allocated to budget session, but if you look at monsoon session, the 3 months are allocated. 3 months are allocated to monsoon session. So they don't work in June. June is a holiday, right? Holiday, not holy month. You can say that they celebrate, leave. They go to the Goa here and there, or to their constituency to meet people, and so on and so forth. Now look at winter session. Winter session, starts in November and it's end in December. Right? Again, October is they don't work in October, and only for 2 months. So here see that 2 months. So if you look at the longest session is the budget session. Budget session is the longest session. 4 months, 3 months and 2 months. Got the idea? That is budget session. Right. And if I talk about the time period between 2 sessions is called recess. If you look at time period between 2 sessions, सेशंस इज कॉल्ड रिसेस. उसको रिसेस कहा जाता है. वो जो छुट्टी में जाते हैं उसको रिसेस कहा जाता है. जब पार्लियामेंट नहीं चलता है उस टाइम को हम क्या कहते हैं? रिसेस. Right. And if you look at entire session of parliament, has many meeting. 4 months they meet, right? So each day they meet. So if you look at a session of parliament consists many meeting. There are many meeting. One day, one meeting, called one meeting. Right? So each session consists many meeting. And each meeting has 2 sitting. So each day there is one meeting, and in one day there is a 2 sitting. Two sitting called morning sitting and evening sitting. Morning sitting and evening sitting. Right? So each parliament has 2 sitting a day. Morning sitting starts with 11 a.m. and it continues to 1 p.m. Right? It starts with at 11 and with at 1 p.m. And then there is a lunch. Right? लंच की बहुत ही अच्छी व्यवस्था है वहां की कैंटीन में. जाकर के खाइए आराम से और मस्त हो जाइए. Right? And then thereafter, if you look at, there's a meeting from 2 to 6 p.m. 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Also called as a agenda of the day. This evening sitting is called agenda of the day. This is called agenda of the day. So if you look at the one meeting continued, it starts with at 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Right? कितना heavy duty है. Look at duty. Right? So 11 बजे से लेके 6 बजे तक. ऐसा नहीं कि 6 बजे बंद हो जाएगा. No. It is not that at 6 p.m. Parliament has to be closed. No. Depends on speaker. And if a speaker permits, right, the parliamentary meeting may go beyond 6 p.m. It may, continue till 10 p.m. or, for example, 11 p.m. or, 4 a.m. in the morning. The entire night that can be continued. But this is a general standard time period. Right? So you can see that a session like budget session starts with presidential address. Each year, budget session starts with presidential address. The president addresses the parliament, the house, in each financial year. And you know that the parliament starts with budget session. Now, when the entire session is done, when the entire session is done, for example, May, right? It may be 25 May or, 28 May, depends on the timing, If the entire session is finished, then the speaker declares that the house is adjourned in the day. Right? Her house is adjourned. तो हाउस को क्या कहा जाता है? एडजॉर्नमेंट कर दिया जाता है. एडजॉर्न कर दिया. इट्स कॉल्ड एडजॉर्नमेंट. राइट? इट्स कॉल्ड एडजॉर्नमेंट. राइट? सो अगर हर सिटिंग मान लीजिए कि 11 बजे शुरू होता है और 6 PM में खत्म होता है, तो खत्म कैसे किया जाता है? वो उसको कहा जाता है द हाउस इज एडजॉर्न टिल टुमारो 11 AM। क्या कहा जाता है लास्ट में? द हाउस इज एडजॉर्न टिल टुमारो एट, यानी 11 बजे तक कल ये हाउस को एडजॉर्न किया जाता है, 11 बजे से फिर से शुरू होगा। And this announcement is called adjournment. This announcement is called adjournment every day. So here you can see that they mean fixed time. So, and every day it happens, every day, from the budget session, from the start one. And when there is a last day, then the speaker say the house is adjourned. Does not mention time. It simply says house is adjourned, right? Or he may say the house is adjourned sine die, right? It means the house is closed till the indefinite period of time, right? The house is, terminating sitting for the indefinite period of time, for maybe 1 month. It does not actually. So when time is mentioned, when time, the speaker mentions time, that okay, house is adjourned till tomorrow 11 AM, then it is called adjournment. But when the speaker does not mention time, it means the house is closed, the house has stopped working for the indefinite period of time. That is called adjournment sine die. The house is called adjournment sine die, यानी कि अब वो इंडिफिनिट पीरियड के लिए टाइम बंद हो गया, अब वो मीटिंग नहीं होगी। अब ये एडजॉर्नमेंट सिने दाई कभी भी ऐसा नहीं कि लास्ट सेशन के लास्ट में हो सकता है, बिकॉज ये कभी भी हो सकता है कि स्पीकर टाइम मेंशन ना करे, राइट? सो व्हेन यू से एडजॉर्नमेंट सिने दाई, it means the sitting is terminated till indefinite period of time. The meeting or sitting is terminated for an indefinite period of time. बट जब एडजॉर्नमेंट कहा जाता है, यानी द सिटिंग इज टर्मिनेटेड फॉर डेफिनेट पीरियड ऑफ टाइम। एक डिफिनिट पीरियड ऑफ टाइम के लिए हाउस को टर्मिनेट किया जाता है, दैट इज कॉल्ड एडजॉर्नमेंट, राइट? सो देयर इज अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन एडजॉर्नमेंट एंड एडजॉर्नमेंट sine die. Consider that so the budget session is ending and the house is adjourned for an indefinite period of time. Then what happens? The president issue a notification of that adjournment at the end of session, right? Session when the speaker adjourn house Then the President issue a notification. The President issue notification, and this notification is called prorogation. This notification is called as prorogation. इस issue को prorogation कहते हैं. So we learned that there are 3 sessions, and in each session there are multiple meetings. Each day there is a meeting, right? And in one meeting, one day there are 2 sitting: morning sitting and evening sitting. And sitting of the house can be terminated by the term that is called adjournment. So when there is adjournment, then sitting is terminated for a definite period of time. Let's say, for example, the speaker may say that the house is adjourned till 3 p.m. Then it means till 3 p.m. house will not work, right? There will be no debate, no discussion, no proceedings. But after 3 p.m., all members will gather in the house and they will initiate debate, discussion, right? And proceedings of the house. But consider when the speaker says the house is adjourned, but does not mention time. He or she does not mention time. Then what happened? It means house is terminated. The sitting is terminated for an indefinite period of time, for unending time. No, the time is not mentioned. And it happens generally, at the end of the session, when the one session is, close to very end. Then president, then the speaker talked about that and declares that the house is adjourned, or he may say that the house is adjourned sine die. And that speaker declaration is issued by president. That is issued by president in a notification, and that notification is called prorogation. I hope it is clear. Prorogation. Now there is one term called dissolution. If you look at the one term called dissolution, what do you mean by dissolution? If you look at Parliament, there is a RajyaSabha, there is a Lok Sabha. There is a RajyaSabha and Lok Sabha. RajyaSabha is a permanent body. RajyaSabha is a permanent body. It means it is not subject to dissolution. It is not subject to dissolution. But what about the Lok Sabha? Now, if you look at Lok Sabha is dissolved in different way. Lok Sabha is dissolved in a different way. For example, Lok Sabha dissolves automatically after completing normal 5 years. This is one way. If Lok Sabha, already worked for last 5 years, then it is dissolved automatically. Right? Secondly, President can dissolve the House if the Prime Minister has no confidence of the Lok Sabha. Right? When the Prime Minister has, so first, automatically dissolution. After completing 5 years, अगर 5 साल हो गया तो अपने आप डिसॉल्व हो जाएगा, फिर से इलेक्शन होगी और इलेक्शन के बाद फिर से पार्लियामेंट बनेगा. राइट. नाउ इफ यू लुक एट सेकेंड, द प्रेसिडेंट कैन डिसॉल्व द हाउस. House if the PM has no majority or confidence, has no majority or does not carry confidence of the Lok Sabha. अगर लोकसभा में अगर उनका कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं है, अगर लोकसभा का कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं है, if it does not carry confidence of the Lok Sabha, the president can dissolve. It means, president has no majority. Right. Third is, if you look at no confidence motion, this is a related one, second and third. No confidence motion can only be introduced in the Lok Sabha. No confidence motion cannot be introduced in the RajyaSabha. It can only be introduced in the Lok Sabha. So, a member can introduce no confidence motion, and if it is passed, then the government collapses. Right? And if any member, any political party has no full majority, either by the coalition or with single, then the president has to dissolve the house and new elections shall take place. I hope you got the idea. So this is called dissolution. Right. Now, yesterday I talked about quorum. What is quorum? Right. Now let me talk about few things, like few devices of the parliament, like 0 hour, question hour, right? Then we will talk about motion. Look at two things. Let me talk about parliamentary devices. Parliamentary devices. No, some measures within the parliament. Now one is called question hour. One is called question hour. Right? What is question hour? I told you that the parliament starts at 11 a.m. So parliament starts with question hour, basically. So the first hour in each meeting, then each day, it's called question hour, right? So you can say that first hour, the very first hour, of each day is called as question hour. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि पार्लियामेंट स्टार्ट्स विथ क्वेश्चन आवर. It means Parliament starts with question hour, right? So this is a question hour. It means an hour, only 1 hour. So you see that from 11 a.m. to 12 noon, this time is devoted to question hour. What happens during this time? Now, the name reflects during this time, during this period, 1 hour from 11 a.m. to 12 noon, basically members ask question and minister answers. Right? Members ask question and minister answers. During question hour, member ask question and minister answers. बस सवाल जवाब होता है. अब किस तरह के क्वेश्चन होता है? There are 3 types of question. There are 3 kinds of questions. There are, 3 or I say 4. Why 3? 4 types of question. Four types of questions. What are that questions? First is called a starred question. First is called starred question. अब होता क्या है? Generally, this is simple question but you have to put star mark. That is called a starred question. And you have, when you have, not only you, but MP put a star on the question, then look at the starred question requires oral answer, right? And hence supplementary question can be followed. And let me tell you, this question you have to submit before 15 days. Let me tell you, the MP has to submit this question before 15 days. ऐसा नहीं कि उसी दिन आपने उठा और सवाल पूछा और जवाब दे दिया. नहीं, उसके पास भी जवाब नहीं होता है. आपको 15 दिन का टाइम देना होगा. Right? So if you look at, that the MP has to submit question before 15 days. Yes. And starred question requires oral answer. Requires oral answer. ये oral answer डिमांड करता है. oral answer चाहिए. पार्लियामेंट में कहिए आप कि क्या हुआ, इसका आंसर क्या होगा. And subsequently, the next question can be asked by the same person or any person. So if you look at the start question, allow supplementary question. Okay. Hence, supplementary question can be followed. सप्लीमेंट्री क्वेश्चन कैन बी फॉलोड मतलब क्वेश्चन उसी इशू से रिलेटेड होना चाहिए. ऐसा नहीं कि आप फिर से दोबारा कुछ कोई और क्वेश्चन पूछ देंगे. नो, you have to ask question from that topic only, right? And minister may give you the answer. That is called a start question. Now come to the unstarred question. The unstarred question, of course you have to submit before 15 days. आप स्टार मत लगाइए, ऐसे सिंपल भेजिए और 15 दिन पहले भेजिए. एंड unstarred question requires written answer from the minister. So the first type is starred question, second is unstarred. Unstarred question. Now this, again you have to, this question submitted before 15 days. Submitted before 15 days, right? And it requires written answer, right? अब जब रिटन आंसर देगा तो आप सप्लीमेंट्री क्वेश्चन फिर से पूछेंगे और फिर से लिखेगा वहां पे बैठ के, तो नहीं, वो बैठ के फिर से नहीं लिखेगा मिनिस्टर. And hence you can see that unstarred question does not follow the supplementary question. Hence supplementary question does not follow. फिर से आप दोबारा वो क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछ सकते कोई भी एमपी. सो ये कहते हैं एक था स्टार्ड, एक था अनस्टार्ड. स्टार्ड क्वेश्चन और अनस्टार्ड क्वेश्चन दोनों को 15 दिन पहले दिया जाता है. डिफरेंस ये है कि इन स्टार्ड क्वेश्चन the minister answer you orally. In unstarred question, minister given you written answer. That is a simple. One is called short notice question. What is short notice question? You see the 15 days. 15 दिन आपको क्वेश्चन 15 दिन है. अब क्या है कि कुछ अर्जेंट मुद्दा है और आपको देना है, राइट? तो there is third is called device is called short notice question. Third is called short notice question. अब see short notice question क्या है? This type of question requires only short notice, on short notice, 3 days to 10 days. You can submit your question, and short notice question, requires oral answer, right? Oral answer, right? So if you look at short notice question, right? So short notice question, look at an MP can ask question on a short notice. Let's say 3 to 10 days. 10 दिन पहले सवाल दे दीजिए, या 3 दिन, 4 दिन, 5 दिन, सब चलेगा. 3 से 10 दिन तक होता है, right? And it requires oral answer. ये ओरल आंसर रिक्वायर करता है, यानी मिनिस्टर आपको जवाब ओरली ही देंगे। ठीक है। नाउ फोर्थ टाइप ऑफ क्वेश्चन इज कॉल्ड प्राइवेट मेंबर क्वेश्चन। फोर्थ इज कॉल्ड प्राइवेट मेंबर क्वेश्चन। ये प्राइवेट मेंबर क्वेश्चन क्या होता है? आपको बता दूं कि जो पार्लियामेंट है, इन द पार्लियामेंट देयर आर टू टाइप्स ऑफ बिल। इफ यू लुक एट बिल, बिल मतलब अ ड्राफ्ट प्रपोजल। A bill is a draft proposal. It means, anything, a new law can become an act only when the bill is introduced. Right? So it is a draft proposal, or if you look at a bill generally introduced by the government. Bill generally introduced by the government. Bill generally introduced by the government. It is called public bill. It is called public bill. गवर्नमेंट मतलब जो काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर के मेंबर हैं, इंक्लूडिंग द प्राइम मिनिस्टर। गवर्नमेंट का वही मतलब है। फॉर एग्जांपल, अभी बीजेपी की सरकार है, नरेंद्र मोदी इज हेडिंग द एग्जीक्यूटिव, राइट, एंड अप्रोक्सीमेटली 60 people are ministers, member of that council of ministers. That is called government or executive, you can say. वही जो एग्जीक्यूटिव है 50-60 लोग, उसमें से एक कोई आकर के बिल इंट्रोड्यूस करेगा, जिसको बोलते हैं पब्लिक बिल। बट उसके अलावा भी लोग होते हैं, राइट। पार्लियामेंट में आप देखेंगे कि केवल 700 स्ट्रेंथ है। ऐसा 700 में से सारे के सारे मिनिस्टर्स नहीं है, मिनिस्टर्स बहुत गिने चुने लोग हैं। तो मिनिस्टर्स के अलावा जो मेंबर हैं उसको बोलते हैं प्राइवेट मेंबर। उसको क्या बोलते हैं? प्राइवेट मेंबर। और प्राइवेट मेंबर जब बिल इंट्रोड्यूस करता है उसको बोलते हैं प्राइवेट मेंबर बिल, राइट। Who introduced private? Introduced by private member. और हर साल काफी प्राइवेट मेंबर बिल इंट्रोड्यूस होता है, कॉल प्राइवेट मेंबर बिल। प्राइवेट मेंबर बिल। और हर साल मतलब 100 में, hundreds, more than hundreds, sometimes 200s, sometimes 300s bills are introduced by the private member. Here I have to clarify who is private member. Any member of the parliament who is not a minister. Who is not a minister. So for example, बीजेपी के कोई लोग हैं जो मिनिस्टर नहीं है, वो भी प्राइवेट मेंबर है पार्लियामेंट का, राइट। कोई भी बीजेपी के जो भी एमपी है, एंड इवन इफ दैट बीजेपी एमपी इज नॉट अ ministers, then he is a or she is a private member. अब क्या होता है कि प्राइवेट मेंबर बिल जब इंट्रोड्यूस होता है तो उससे क्वेश्चन किया जाता है, इसको बोलते हैं प्राइवेट मेंबर क्वेश्चन। तो क्वेश्चन आवर के अंदर, क्वेश्चन आवर के टाइम पे प्राइवेट मेंबर बिल भी, प्राइवेट मेंबर से क्वेश्चन किया जा सकता है, एंड प्राइवेट मेंबर हैव टू आंसर। That is called question hour, right? In the private member question, in private member questions, you can see that a person, a member asks question and private member answers. regarding any bill or any resolution or other matter, right? So that is called, question hour. Let me talk about 0 hour. What is 0 hour? ये 0 hour क्या है? Basically, the next hour after the question hour is called 0 hour. It is a purely Indian invention. ये यूके के पार्लियामेंट में नहीं है, राइट? ये इंडियन पार्लियामेंट ने इन्वेंट किया है. और लेट मी टेल यू दैट इट इज नॉट मेंशन्ड इन द रूल्स एंड प्रोसीजर ऑफ द लोकसभा और द राज्यसभा. रूल्स और प्रोसीजर में नहीं है ये, राइट? ठीक है. तो आप देखेंगे कि ये इनफॉर्मल डिवाइस है. इनफॉर्मल डिवाइस मतलब रूल्स में नहीं है, बट ये है. दैट इज कॉल्ड इनफॉर्मल डिवाइसेस, राइट? एंड 0 hour just starts after the question hour, just after question hour, and it continued till lunch time, right? So if you look at, अगर आप रेलवे का टाइम देखेंगे तो 0 मतलब होता है 12. What is 0? 0 मतलब 12, right? So ये चलता है 12 से शुरू होता है और ये चलता है 1 PM तक. अच्छा, I told you this is an Indian innovation. ये यूके पार्लियामेंट में नहीं है, and it is not mentioned in the rules of process, right? ये 1962 1962 के बाद से ये एग्जिस्टेंस में है. Now what happened during the 0 hour? During the 0 hour, basically the members of parliament, the members either in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha ask question, and again ministers have to answer. Here there is no need to give notice and so on and so forth. Member may ask question and minister may give answer, or any private member may answer if he has or she has presented a bill or private member bill, right? So that is 0 hour. Now this is another devices. Now let me talk about one device that is called motion. What is motion? What is motion? Now let me tell you that anything, any debate can be initiated in the parliament with motion. Without motion, no debate can be initiated, right? So motion is also a draft proposal. Draft proposal for debate, discussion. And you know that Parliament is a deliberative body. Parliament debates, discuss, and contemplate different local issues, different national issues, and also international issues. And the debate can be initiated after introducing a motion. After a motion, right? Then you may ask that, sorry, is there any variety of motion, right? Or is it that only, there is no variety of motion? Yes, there is a variety of motion, right? So first let me tell you, when a member introduces a motion, that is draft proposal for debate or discussion, then what happens? the presiding official, accepts, give consent, accepts the motion, and he also give time. Okay, that day we will discuss on this. So the motion can be debated, but let me tell you, if the speaker does not accept the motion, then motion, immediately rejected, right? Immediately rejected. Now, if you look at the motion moved by the members, in the parliament are, the three types. Basically, there are three types of motions. One is called substantive motion. One is called substantive motion. अब substantive motion क्या है कि any independent motion, कुछ भी आपने ड्राफ्ट प्रपोजल रख दिया पार्लियामेंट में डिस्कशन और डिबेट के लिए, उसको हम बोलते हैं independent motion or substantive motion. So any self independent motion any self-independent proposal, right, for any debate, for debate, discussion, or other business, of the parliament. ऐसा नहीं कि पार्लियामेंट केवल डिबेट करती है, वो बहुत काम करती है. पार्लियामेंट रिमूव भी करती है लोगों को, जैसे डिप्टी स्पीकर को रिमूव करना हो, या स्पीकर को रिमूव करना हो, या प्रेसिडेंट को रिमूव करना, इम्पीच करना हो, राइट, या इलेक्शन कमीशन को इम्पीच करना हो, या चीफ जस्टिस को इम्पीच करना हो, राइट. So any self-independent proposal for debate, discussion, or any other business of the parliament can be called substantive motion. Substantive ये substantive motion होगा, right? So that is called substantive motion. For example, किसी ने motion propose किया impeachment के लिए, right? Impeachment of the judges. That would be called substantive motion. Now, second is called substitutive motion. Substitute motion. First is substantive, second is called substitute motion. What is substitute motion? अब क्या होता है कि सेल्फ इंडिपेंडेंट प्रपोजल आपने डाल दिया, राइट, और फिर आपने एक ऐसा मोशन डाला, मैंने आपने मोशन डाल दिया, बट आपका माइंड बदल गया बाद में. यू आर एन एमपी and you have put a motion, but next day or after 3 days or after 4 days, you have introduced a motion which is substitute to the original one. जो ओरिजिनली आपने जमा किया वो आप नहीं चाहते, आप कुछ अलग चाहते हैं, उसका सब्स्टिट्यूट चाहते हैं, राइट, उसका अल्टरनेटिव चाहते हैं. दैट इज कॉल्ड सब्स्टिट्यूट मोशन, राइट. तो क्या होता है सब्स्टिट्यूट मोशन, राइट, कि इट इज अ मोशन दैट इज मूव्ड इन अ सब्स्टिट्यूशन, it is an alternative motion. Alternative motion. And if it is accepted, then it supersede the original motion. ये ओरिजिनल मोशन को खा जाएगा, यानी अब जो बहस होगी, अब जो काम होगा वो सब्स्टिट्यूट मोशन का होगा. वो मोशन गया, काम से गया, बिकॉज you have introduced a motion that is willing to substitute the original one. That is why it is called substitute motion, right? Now third is called subsidiary motion. Third is called subsidiary motion. सब्सिडरी मोशन. अब क्या है कि आपने इंडिपेंडेंट सेल्फ कंटेन्ड मोशन डाला, सब्सटेंटिव मोशन डाला, राइट, बट कुछ भूल गया, तो आपने क्या किया, एक अलग तरीके से एक मोशन बना दिया जो उसको हेल्प करेगा, उसको एक्सप्लेनेशन में हेल्प करेगा, राइट. उसको बोलते हैं सब्सिडरी मोशन. यानी कि इस मोशन का अपना कोई मतलब नहीं है जब तक ये पहले वाले के साथ पढ़ा जाए. तो इफ यू लुक एट, subsidiary motion has no meaning of its own, right? It has meaning only when it is read with original motion, right? That is called subsidiary motion, right? Subsidiary matlab helping. It helps in understanding the original motion. That is called subsidiary motion, right? Now if you look at subsidiary motion, I can write here, it helps in understanding original motion. Right, and therefore there is no meaning of subsidiary motion. There is no independent meaning. There is no independent meaning of subsidiary motion, right? There is no independent meaning of subsidiary motion. Now if I say that further subsidiary motion has been categorized into three parts. There are three types of subsidiary motion. ये जो असिस्टिंग मोशन है ये भी तीन तरीके का होता है. एक को कहते हैं एंसिलरी मोशन. What is ancillary motion? It is used as the regular way of proceeding with various kinds of business. Basically just addition, a simple addition to the original motion. तो ओरिजिनल मोशन है उसमें थोड़ा सा ऐड कर दिया, कुछ छूट गया है, ऐड कर दिया, दैट इज सब्सिडियरी मोशन. नाउ सुपरसीडिंग मोशन, राइट. नाउ सुपरसीडिंग मोशन क्या होता है कि ये तो केवल सिंपल एडिशन नहीं है, राइट. इट वांट्स टू डिस्कस ऑन अनदर इशू. It wants to supersede, right? It's called superseding motion. And superseding motion 6, you know, superseding motion 6 to supersede the debate, discussion. Right? Third is amendment. Amendment is, just adding clause, adding something, deleting something, that is called amendment, basically, in the original motion. So that is called subsidiary motion. Right? So this is called a different motion. There are 3 types of motion: the substantive motion, substitutive motion, subsidiary motion. Subsidiary motion has been divided into 3 types. That motion we talked about. Rest the motion, and we will talk about in the next class. I'll take 1 or 2 class more on parliament. I'll take 2 more classes on parliament. Right? And then I will finish.